This is a disgusting mentality to have. I received this extremely short-sighted comment on a recent video of mine. Instead of just saying, I'm right and they're wrong, I want to talk through some of the points that they made. I won't be able to make it through all of them just for the sake of time, but I want to bring up some of the most important bits that I think capture the real issues that we have in our health and wellness space today. First, let's check out the video they were commenting on. If you read my caption, it basically states that I think it unwise to tell my clients they can never eat something in particular, especially if it's a food they love or it's the only option available to them. The all or nothing mentality just simply is not helpful, nor is it necessary. I'll show you some research to back that up in a minute. I'm going to show you some of the truly shocking comments that she made later on. But let's start off with the initial critique. Another RD not understand. You know what? This is too hard to read. That's better. Another RD not understanding that ingredients matter when it comes to food. Reviewing my video and the caption of the video, not once did I say that ingredients never matter or have no impact on anything. The problem with this individual's mentality, though, is that they're putting too much weight on individual ingredients at individual moments in time, such as one fast food meal. Something that you'll hear a lot of science communicators say, because we're just so tired of this toxic ingredients conversation, is that the dose determines the poison. Even water at a certain dose is toxic. You can't just say a random ingredient is toxic without first clarifying the context of that statement and the dosage that you're referring to that ingredient being toxic at. This person is making it sound like having a single meal that contains certain ingredients is going to make or break you. This isn't how nutrition works. It is the overall dietary patterns that matter. Let's continue. There is not one instance that will ever allow an individual to have a healthy relationship with food if they are shoving down ultra-processed food into their system constantly. At no point in my video was I saying that shoving ultra-processed food down constantly was a good idea. This is complete nonsense. But for the sake of the argument, let's explore having a healthy relationship with food while having ultra-processed foods and see if it's possible. Well, for one thing, we know that getting hyper-fixated on the small details can actually be detrimental for our health. Having a rigid, black and white, all-or-nothing mentality is shown to worsen our mental health and may even lead to difficulty in maintaining a healthy weight. Not only that, but it's completely unnecessary. As I stated before, overall dietary patterns are what's important here. Having fast food here or there is not going to instantly ruin all your progress or instantly give you diabetes. Lastly, this type of mentality is reminiscent of something called orthorexia nervosa, an emerging and life-threatening eating disorder that is characterized by hyperfixation on eating clean or avoiding toxic ingredients. This is something that the eating disorder community is considering adding as an official diagnosis, as it has serious effects on the health of individuals. You are literally a dietitian and promoting that fast food is good for you. Nope, never directly said that it was good for you. By the way, we actually spell dietitian with a T and typically without the quotation marks, but that's neither here nor there. I actually try to never say that any food in particular is good or bad. It depends on the context. Peanuts may be an amazing source of different macro and micronutrients for one person, but for someone who's deathly allergic, that's definitely not healthy or a good food for them. It's all relative. You're the exact reason why people have food addiction. Really, that's so crazy because all of these women that I've worked with who said they struggled with food addiction are now doing really well. And those are just messages that I was able to find in the last 2 months. I didn't want to go any further than that because honestly, this video is already taking up a lot of my time. Also, food addiction is an unproven concept. Food can feel addicting, yeah, but food is not addictive like drugs. Honestly, this is a topic that I have a lot more to say on, but I'm going to save that for a podcast episode later. Their taste buds can't simply associate the differences between real food and fake food. Wait, what? Has anyone ever said, I can't taste the difference between this fast food meal versus a meal I make at home? And what is fake food anyway? I assume she's referring to ultra-processed foods, but this type of language is unhelpful. Food is food. Again, that dichotomous black and white thinking is not helping anyone. You're promoting autoimmune disease, and it doesn't matter if your clients are symptomatic to it or not. This is another ginormous topic that could probably just be its own podcast episode, But I'll say this, autoimmune diseases are essentially the body attacking itself, and this can manifest in many different ways and have many different presentations. It's gonna vary from case to case and diagnosis to diagnosis. Now, I'm not a rheumatologist or immunologist, but the cause of these diseases, as far as I can tell, is largely unknown. And the food we eat is not the reason somebody develops these conditions. This is a completely bonkers claim that is not evidence-based. Oh, this is a good one. Your mentality was pushed by Big Pharma. Here we go. The Big Pharma argument is used all the time to try and discredit healthcare professionals who have spent years and years studying the ins and outs of human biology and different scientific matters. It's actually brilliant because if you disqualify a healthcare professional, then you can basically sell anything you want to. Don't you think? And my favorite, your degree is the worst of them all. Aw, that's so nice. This is honestly a big reason why so many people are leaving the dietetic profession. So many people think that just because they eat food that they are an expert in nutrition, or that they took a 1 hour or 2 hour class and got a certification and now a nutritionist that they know everything about nutrition. But honestly, even dietitians don't know everything about nutrition because it's a complex field. It requires critical thinking and particular training in order to understand the landscape of evidence that we have on any given topic in regards to nutrition. Not only that, but how these topics relate to the public health and then to the individual health of our clients. Later on in a comment, she tries to defend her stance and she says, "People binge eat bad foods because they simply exist." No, this is not why people binge eat. Binge eating is a complex biopsychosocial response to various triggers and is often the result of unmet needs. But let's move on to what is perhaps the most concerning comment that she made of all, and really the reason why I made this video. EDs are an excuse for not owning up to treating your body right. I was actually doing fine before I read this. This really pissed me off. Not a single person who has suffered from an eating disorder, which by the way has the second highest mortality rate of any psychiatric conditions, has never used it as an excuse. In fact, in many cases, an eating disorder is the direct result of somebody trying to treat their body right, but being misinformed on what's actually important in order to treat their body right by people like this. This is a disgusting mentality to have. She later went on to say, "You really need to reflect on why you have an eating disorder." She said this to somebody who opened up about their eating disorder, as if this person hasn't reflected on it enough. I literally had to privately message the individual she was talking to and apologize on her behalf and make sure they were okay. Now you might be thinking, "Michelle, isn't this a little harsh? Maybe you should back off." And I will tell you, I debated heavily whether I should post this or not. On the one hand, I believe people should be held accountable for their actions and for when they say stupid things, especially when they're harmful, and especially if they are individuals in a health-related and helping profession. However, she already got reamed by a lot of people in my comments. So I decided to cover her name and make this less about her and more about the mentality in general. But that's enough for me. I want to hear from you. Would you want to work with somebody who has this mentality around food?